Right here, center stage, front and center. Siéntate, mujer.
Vamos a sentar aquí, más personal.
First of all, thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me. LA has welcomed me so warmly. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know what to anticipate, so thank you so much. And thank you, ladies, for being here, because, hello, Locatora, like, the baddest. Thank you so much. Thank you. I tell them this when I talk to them, like, how do you do this?
But anyway, so thank you everybody for coming out to the Unapologetically Brown Girl pop-up and Q&A. Like Joanna said, we're Locatora Radio. I'm Mala.
I'm Diosa.
And we're and she's Joanna.
I love it when they do that.
And Diosa, you want to tell everybody, like, what is this? What are we doing right now, this conversation?
Yeah, okay, so we want to have, like, an informal community dialogue with all of y'all. We took away the table, right, so that we could be, like, all connected. So we are going to get started with the Q&A. We're going to ask a few questions. Ask Joanna a few questions, and then we're going to get into a Q&A with all of y'all. So have your questions in mind. You've been following her for a while. I'm sure y'all have a lot to say and a lot of feedback to give her. So we're really excited to get into it.
So first off, who are you? Who is she? Who is she?
So my name is Joanna Turno. I was born in San Salvador, El Salvador. Yes, shout out to Salvi people, Central Americans. I came here when I was 9, turning 10, to Richmond, Virginia for a little while. And then we traveled around. I came here for a few months. I'm a visual artist. I do whatever comes into my mind with my series to empower communities of color. Whether that's with poetry on a poster or photography on a poster or a visual, whatever comes to mind, I'll do it. And that's how the Unapologetically Brown series was. It became like what I wanted it to be with. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm sorry.
You're great.
I didn't anticipate everybody to be here. So, I'm a very anxious person. I want to start that off with.
Give her some love. Gas her up.
Y'all bought prints today. How many of y'all bought prints today? You've been shopping?
I got it.
Like all of you. So thank you so much. But no, like that's what I was saying. Like I'm a visual artist, and so Salvadoriana. That's what it comes down to, and then the work stems from there.
Yeah. So yes. From the inspector. Yes. So what inspired the work behind the Unapologetically Brown Girl series? You being out and about in the street, claiming that space, taking up space.
Well, the work kind of created itself, to be honest. When I started the series, I had no idea what I was doing. So what I first started doing was on SoundCloud, I would put spoken poetry. And I kind of got bored of that because I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I don't know anything about engineering or like audio or like sound. So I was like, okay, let me go do another thing. I don't know how to do posters. And the way that started was just literally typing on the little computer, like, stop fetishizing black and brown bodies. Like, that's literally the first poster. And I decided that after that, I would just take everything that I was doing on SoundCloud and put it on posters, which is how the series started. All the poetry, all the portraits, it all just started to go on paper because I felt like if I could reach people on the streets, which is a bigger platform than social media, it would be more accessible that way. More people would see it. You all would connect with it way more than on SoundCloud if I were lucky that you guys would even know who I was. You know what I'm saying? Like, hearing of the work. Not necessarily me, but just hearing of it.
So the way that you put up your posters, it's wheat pasting, no? So, Locatora as a podcast, we're self-taught completely. And DIY.
Totally.
And is that true for you? And how did you learn? How did you get into it? How did you perfect your skill and your craft?
I haven't perfected it. Like, I'm still like on Google, like, what's going on? No, seriously, like, I still don't know how to use like Photoshop and all that shit that is like another language to me. But the way that I just started this was Googling everything that I was doing. I was like, well, I have access to the internet, so let me do something with that. Literally Google. What kind of paper do I need? What kind of glue? I had no idea. Like, I knew of street artists, right? Like Shepard Fairey and Banksy and stuff like that. White men. So when I started to look up what I needed to do, I realized there were no, well, very low visibility with POC and street art. And that to me was crazy because if you know street art, you know it's POC doing it. I'm sorry, but there's no other way around it. All those dope-ass murals, POC.
Yeah.
All, it's all POC. And we've used this art as a political tool to deliver our messages anyway. So it just made sense to me. But everything I've figured out about the work is through literally figuring out on my own. I didn't go to art school. I didn't finish college, so like I don't have a lot of technical training in anything of what I do. So I always tell people, like, if you want to get your message across, if you want to create content, you will figure it out.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I love
Thank
that. So, Jonah, recently you had a really amazing, beautiful, inspiring exhibit with your partner called Niñas Sin Vergüenzas.
Niñas Sin Vergüenzas, yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit behind, or can you tell us a lot about how you,
I can tell
how
you
you did
all
that?
you
Tell
wanna
us,
know.
tell us all about it.
Tell us
Tell all
everything.
about it.
Well, I just want to mention that she's here, so thank you for creating that piece with me. I don't know where you are.
Where is she?
Amy, where are you?
Amy, thank you.
Somewhere.
She's
Shout
here.
out to Amy.
Shout out to
It is
here.
her birthday, so
Yeah.
happy birthday to Amy. She was on our show earlier.
Yeah, we recorded with her earlier.
Yeah, no, she's everything. But the piece came from a few months ago. I wanted to create a series of photographs that really highlighted love that isn't necessarily like always celebrated, even though it has been beautiful and has existed since the beginning of time. So I wanted to take just a series of queer love photos and what that meant for me, which is a very at-home, very comfortable picture, right? Because I feel like when we do see content, sometimes it can be very, very hypersexualized, or it can, or it's like white people. So like I was over it. So I actually asked Amy to take the pictures with me before we started dating, and that's when the posters were originally going to come out, like months ago. But then we started dating, and I was like, I don't want to put these pictures on the street. Like that's not weird. So people are gonna think I'm like weirdly obsessed with you, or like like why are you putting pictures of your you know what I'm saying? But I thought the purpose of these photographs originally were to deliver a message, were to celebrate a love, were to represent a love, to showcase a love in a public way that felt organic, right? Not like, oh well, this is this, like hypersexualized or just so othering that work, like when you feel like, well, this, I didn't want that. So I decided to take the photos and make it the biggest installation I've done, because the posters that I put up now are 12 by 18. These were about as tall as I am. And me and her just went out and we talked about it on the phone. I was like, should we put these posters out there? And she was like, yeah, I don't think you should say it that way. So I got the posters printed like 3 days later, and they were on the street 2 days later. So I wanted them to be bold. I wanted them to be big, and I wanted them to take up space. So for this project specifically, I wanted it to be a gallery style exhibit almost. Because if I were to go up to any museum and say, hey guys, look at these photos, I think they're great, you should put them up, they would not even respond, right? Some museums haven't responded, which is crazy because they'll hire me to do workshops, like the Met hired me to do a workshop there, but they also have a hard time acknowledging the work within their walls, with any street art, you know what I'm saying? So I just said, like, fuck it, like I'm gonna make my own museum on the gallery if you won't give me the space.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think maybe one last question, and then we open it up, because this is a Q&A. More than anything else, like it's a Q&A. You all are here for Unapologetically Brown Girl. What has the reception been towards Niñas Sin Vergüenzas overall?
It's been great. Oh my God. I think it's been the most embraced series of posters that I've done. I mean, the other posters have been, obviously, that's why I'm here. But this series has been, I think, really different because of the manner that I installed the posters on the street, which was to create that gallery, that museum vibe. And I did that very strategically. I wanted you to feel that way. I wanted you to feel as if I were presenting a formal piece in a museum, because I believe that they should be. That's what our museum should look like. Brown, queer, powerful. Yeah, so it's been really, really, really love. And I couldn't be happier. Like, I'm so glad we did it, even though it was my most nerve-wracking project, for sure. Because it's so personal. You know, I didn't know what people were gonna say or think, you know. Like, even my mom just being like, that's my actual relationship. So,
Right,
was.
right, absolutely. Thank you. So questions for Joanna. Who's first? I know you have questions.
Okay, I'll start.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you, girl? What's up? No. So, you know, Salvadoran or whatever. Like, how does your family perceive your art? Like, does it make sense to them?
Well, I come from a single parent home. So, like, I don't have a lot of big family. Like, I don't have sisters. Well, my brother, but he's 17, so, you know, he's a baby. My family, my mom, just kind of doesn't really know what I'm doing. I think she just thinks I'm being loud. And, like, and making way too many noise. Like, she's all like, you should be grateful that we're here. And I understand why she feels that way. I really do. And I understand why she feels like I'm kind of almost being ungrateful in this way, because I feel like our parents, and I came here with her, you know, we both came here at the same time, and I think she perceives it a little differently though, because she sees me as like more Americanized, and like I am American to her, so she feels like I should just be quiet and sit down and eat my food and just like be grateful. But at the same time, she's really, really supportive. So I think she's just trying to find that line of like how to understand what I'm doing and also feel like I'm not slapping like this country in the face to her because of, you know, everything.
And then a follow up to that, like, how do you share your success with your mom? Because in my experience, I have there's small initial success in my career, right? And I find that I don't share any of them, assuming she's not gonna understand.
Yeah.
So like how do you manage to how do you navigate that in your art? Because it's so different.
Absolutely. With my mom, you know, sometimes my mom's reactions can be very underwhelming in the sense that because I think she doesn't fully understand, she asks me more questions than she's like, I don't want to say supportive because she is supportive, but like to her, she just doesn't get why people would want to like she doesn't understand what I'm doing really, besides, you know, that I'm doing somewhat okay with it, you know what I'm saying, that I am doing well, but I still tell her, but it takes me a little time, like, and then I don't tell her everything either, I really don't, which sometimes I do feel guilty about, because I feel like I should just share everything with my mom, but at the same time you have to protect yourself to a certain degree, because regardless of their experiences, our parents' reactions do matter, especially because, you know, I feel like we work so hard and all I want to do is like make my mom proud, and so I do share things with her, but I think it takes a little more to fully get the picture, and I think that's definitely situational, like with our experiences as immigrants and like what we've had to go through and stuff.
We have a question over here. Please introduce yourself and your question. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Liz. So, you know, sometimes I just feel like really tired of like dealing with people, especially white people, especially now. But I was just wondering, where do you get your strength from, and how do you just keep projecting love? Like, I get so much strength from you, so I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much. My sisterhood, my friends, the people that are around me, my community. That's the only way, because I'm tired every day. Like, seriously, you know, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing, because it's, you know, sometimes it's just so frustrating where I'm like, I don't know any of this, and I don't know anything else either, so I'll figure it out. But really, it's my sisterhood, my friends, and the people, the community that's around me, that's what keeps me going.
Hi, my name is Diana. It's nice to meet you. One of my questions is, what are the challenges that you've encountered since you started? And what advice do you have for people that are trying to speak and are trying to figure out different forms of speaking out, whether it's through education, policy, or, you know, like you do art, poems, things like that? What advice do you have for people like us?
Totally. Oh, God. My biggest advice for that is, whatever your message is, whatever you have to say, you figure out what the best platform is for you, because only you know that. Whether that's social media, whether that's public art, whether that is policy, whatever your message is, keep that close and figure out how to get it out, regardless. Because like I said, I had no idea what I was doing, and that is still my biggest challenge, is still not knowing what I'm doing. And that's very frustrating for me because I'm a Capricorn. I like to know what I'm doing. If I don't like situations where I feel like I've been down, like I don't know what's up. And all of this has been not knowing what was up, to be real. You know, there's been times where I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. But then, you know, somebody says something, or I catch somebody looking at a poster, and I'm like, what else would I be doing? So, like, literally take whatever you want, whatever your message is, and figure out your platform with whatever resources you have.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Gabby. I'm also from El Salvador.
Okay, my sister.
Yes, but I have a question. So, coming from El Salvador and doing, you know, everything that you do, especially street art, were you ever like, you know, scared of like getting caught, you know, or like getting into trouble? Because, you know, this isn't, it's scary, you know, you're going out in the streets and putting up art, and not just that, you're a brown girl, you're undocumented, it's like already scary as it is. Like, what made you, you know, fuck it, like, fuck it, if they get me, they get me, like.
Because I have nothing else to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I grew up in El Salvador until I was 10.
Yeah.
So I was in that at the end of the Civil War, you know. And I saw so much shit and violence and went through so much of my own that, to me, the police, no, I just have that.
Yeah.
But I don't acknowledge the police. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I will put my work up while they're on the corner. Like, and not to say that doesn't mean I'm not scared, because I do have things to lose, right?
Yeah.
You know, I do have consequences, and the consequences are very, very heavy when you're in the shoes that I am in, for me personally. I think about my mom. I think about my family. I think, well, what if somebody's crazy and like wants to retaliate with my family? You know, like I've had people tag the NYPD on Twitter to like lock me up. I've had people tag the governor.
Yeah.
But I can't deal with it. Like, I can't let it be what stops me, because then I wouldn't do anything with my life.
Yeah.
Because immigration has controlled it for so long.
Exactly.
That if I literally let them, they want me to sit at home. They want me, me quieren calladita. Quieren que tenga las manos, ¿me entiendes? Entonces, I can't. That doesn't mean it's not scary.
And when did you find that though? Like, you know, when did you find? I feel like right now I'm kind of like, you know, like my whole life my mom was always like, de la escuela a la casa, don't tell anybody, you know. For a long time people didn't. Now that I'm coming out like about immigration and everything, people are like, you were what? Like this whole time you were an immigrant and stuff like that. But it's like I'm coming out even though it's kind of scary, because even my mom was like, she's like, gente sabe donde trabajas, like what if your bosses find out? Because it's like now I'm trying to be more involved, because it's like like I'm getting like positive. It's like it's people coming up to me, it's like this whole time, like me too. I'm like, what? Like girl, we've been girls this whole time, and like you didn't. Like she's like, no. She's all like, but it's because it's scary. She's like, and now you're talking about it, but it's like it feels good, but then at the same time, like I come home and my mom's like, ¿qué estás haciendo? Like, you know, people are watching you. Like, she's like, ¿y si te agarran? Like what? This whole time, like everything you're doing, like. So when did you like find that?
I still haven't found it. I'm still working on it, but I just have to keep doing what I'm doing through it. Like, while I figure it out, I have to keep moving, because I do get scared. You know, I don't share this very often, but I'm going to, because you brought that up. I just recently got my U visa, so that's a.
So I just applied for that.
Yeah.
I just applied for it. Yeah, because same thing, and it's like I'm like so scared, because they're like, you have to go back, and I'm like, what? Like I've been here since I was like 8 months, and I like have to leave soon, and I'm like, girl, like if I go, like what if I can't come back? Like my whole life is here. Like I left El Salvador like when it was a civil war, so like 97, so it's like I was 12 months, I was 13, like I was 13 months old, like I was a baby, and then I came to LA. It's like I don't even fucking know El Salvador. Like I was born there, but I don't know, like. And it's like, it's mi familia de mi dad. Like, I haven't seen my dad since I was a baby. I was like, Ma, like, if I stuck over there, like, what's gonna happen? And it's like, that's how I feel right now. I feel like, fuck it, like, they're already, like, that's what I'm just, like, talking about. I'm like, Ma, like, we've been quiet this whole time, and they're still about to, like, it's like, they're still talking about, like, you have to go back. And then it's like, you know, like.
You can't let that shit control you. And trust me, it will try.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Because it does, every day.
It's fucked up, it does.
But our lives are bigger than that. Our capabilities are bigger than that. And that's exactly what they want. So we can't let them take away any more than they take away from us.
Yeah, because they still do. Like, that's what I told my mom. Like, mommy, like, for 21 years, I've been fucking de la casa al trabajo, del trabajo home. Like, you know, like, la escuela. Yeah, and it's like, bro, and it's like, all of this still is happening. Like, you know, like.
Yeah, and it's gonna happen regardless. So, like, to me, it's just like, let me live. And whatever that means for me, live. Whatever that means for you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Camila.
Hi.
My question for you is, do you ever find it challenging figuring out where to put up your art in fear of like backlash from people who are watching, or like do you ever think about, hey, let me try to put my art somewhere where there is no graffiti, like I want to send a message?
No. I will put the work wherever I feel like it needs to be, and that to me is everywhere, but I'm only one person, so I try to do my best. But no, to me, the backlash, I don't care, or else I wouldn't do it in the first place. I'm not here for the white gaze. I'm not here for any other than the people I create this work for. So what anybody else has to say really has no, I don't care. I just don't care, and that's what it comes down to. I'm not interested in opinions for other than the people whose work I do this for. So no, it doesn't stop me. I'm not here to take babies at people's feelings.
And in those moments, do you feel the need to like have a discussion with this person, or do you instead let your art speak for itself?
The art speaks for itself. But if you want me to, I'll acknowledge you. And that's always kind of come in a negative. I've dealt with some people that are like, well, why don't you do like white girl? And I'm like, listen, because Solange told y'all, you have the whole world, so leave us have what we have and continue on. You know what I'm saying? So no, the work is for you. So you are the only ones who you have something to say. That's it. Anybody else, it doesn't matter.
Thank you. Yourself?
Hi.
You. I'm Alejandro. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. So
No,
I don't
me too.
do public
Okay.
speech. Right? But, so, what are your ideas on how we connect more Salvadoreños together? So much of your art has already connected a lot of us, but we're in a diasporic movement right now. So I'm wondering what you think. What are your ideas on like how we connect more, especially for folks who don't do art or who don't amplify their voices via social media, how do we all connect together, I don't know if you can maybe talk about that a little bit.
I'm still trying to figure that out too,
Yeah.
because I felt such an isolation, especially with my Salvadoran community, where I'm like, I don't know where you are.
Yeah.
Like I lived in Virginia and then New York, and obviously there's community of both in both places and heavily, but for me personally, it was very isolated. So now that I'm doing the work that I do and I know other artists or other people, I really try and amplify their voices and just connect with them and make community. That's what it comes down to with me. I think community is the biggest thing. Once you make community, you can make anything else. So I think that's the most sacred thing for me is finding a way to make community with other people from El Salvador. Because we are, not the loudest group of folks, right, in these communities. So that's all I got right now. So I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I feel you.
So we'll figure it out together.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Edie. My question for you, being queer and being a person of color is not always accepted within our own families.
Mm-hmm.
So how has your mom reacted to Niñas y Vergüenzas in the streets of New York?
Well, when I told her, she said, "Oh wow, that one's beautiful." The one of the first pictures, which was a nice reaction, right? Because trust me, when I told her, she was like, "Ay, ya se te va a pasar." Okay. I was 13 when I told her. I was like, "Listen, you need to leave me alone about boys, because it's not gonna happen." And she was just like, "Ay, okay, see." And it was a problem for a while, a very big problem. I don't mean to make it sound like it wasn't. We had a lot of conflict to the point where I ended up moving out when I was 17. So my relationship with my mother took a while to repair because I felt a lot of resentment for a while. So having her say, "Oh, esa está bien bonita," was really nice, right? And then she asked a couple questions, and then that was it. You know what I'm saying? She's not sitting here being like, oh wow. But at the same time, she's not rejecting it and being the way that she used to be. So that's something. And she's supportive of the whole thing, the relationship and the project. So I think that's another thing that made a difference for her.
Thank you. Introduce yourself.
I'm Michelle. My question is, have you had any like role models or like people that inspire you, recognize your art, and like how they reacted to it?
Yeah, I definitely had a couple of people that I'm just like, oh my god, what's happening? Like, I love you so much. Yeah, it's always crazy to me when that happens. Yes, you guys want, to be honest, when she's here. Princess Nokia was another person that really, really like shocked me when that happened. Yeah, it's always so weird to talk about like other people, but it's always amazing when people that you admire recognize you, because it's how can you not? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are people that have inspired you and have touched you, you know, in your life. So how can you not be like, oh my god, like that's amazing, you know? But yeah.
Hi, my name's Jackie. I'm also my mom's from El Salvador too. I was wondering, what part of El Salvador are you from?
I was born in San Salvador.
Oh, I think you mentioned it. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
My mom's from Santana.
Santana.
Yeah, so it's closer to like Guatemala.
Yeah, I have family from Santana.
Oh, nice. That's it.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Brittany.
I'm Brittany.
Brittany from where?
From Shop Latinx. Thank you. So my question is, what does sisterhood mean to you? And how has sisterhood and the internet impacted you in your work?
Oh wow, okay, great question. Sisterhood, first of all, for me, before the internet, was actually very like non-existent, to be honest. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I have 1,000 friends. No, first of all, I barely have a lot of friends, but the ones I do have, we're tight, you know? It's unconditional, it's real, and it's not like, oh, I'm gonna tell you that that shit is awesome when it sucks, because no. You know, we don't play like that. It's about support, it's about empowering, it's about, you know, checking in on your friends, and it's also like about having healthy relationships, right? I'm not like, you know, we have misconceptions of what our friendship should look like, and to me, I found that, you know, finding people that share the same values, share the same visions, that's everything to me. That is my sisterhood. My girls from New York, they literally will hold me down. They will just text you to be like, oh, hey, like, have you had water today? Like, asking your friend, like, are you staying hydrated? Hey, have you eaten today? That's a big deal, right? That is sisterhood, that is community, that's the smallest details make the biggest difference, for me personally. With the internet, that's really where I've gotten that's where my sisterhood has come from, like, now with all this work. Like, I have found all of you. I mean, seriously, every single person that is here, right?
Yeah.
So, it's been amazing what you can create through social media. Like, people talk a lot of shit. Oh, you on Instagram, you're wasting time. I know these people, like, this is the first time I've met you in person. But I feel like I would know if you were missing on Instagram. I'd be like, oh no. Like, you know, I've noticed, and I've messaged people like, yo, what's good? You alright? You know, because it's like, these are our lives, and you know, for people that choose to share it and choose and to be so personal, you can create a very real sense of community with these folks, and I think that that's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. Woo!
So my question is, have you ever found your artwork either vandalized or torn, and how do you feel about that?
Yeah. It annoys me honestly more than anything because I pay for that shit myself. Like, I pay for my own artwork, so like you're wasting my money. But and I don't appreciate that. But other than that, no, it's fine. I make it public, so I understand people are gonna have reactions. It's never been anything too wild either, so maybe I'm not at the right place to ask if somebody had done something like heinous or like super. Maybe I would have a different answer, but I don't think so. I think that people are going to have the reactions that they're going to have, and the ones that are so negative to that point where you're defacing, you're mad and you're throwing a temper tantrum, and I can't relate to ever being like, oh, I'm gonna deface this piece of artwork because it isn't for me. Like I know you're sad, and I'm just gonna like not worry about it, you know. So I just leave it. I leave it like that. There was this one time that somebody left. Somebody wrote menace, menace on one poster. So now I'm gonna make a zine and call it Menace, Menace. So.
Thank you. Bye. Does the Unapologetically Brown series like fund itself? I know you sell a lot of stuff online, so do you use those funds to just make more art?
It is 100% self-funded. I have no grants, no loans, no art sugar person. I have nothing but myself. So it is 100% self-funded. So that's it. Yeah, it's just me. And what I sell online, it does go back into the work.
So what are your dreams? Yes, you can. What do you want? What more? Where do you want to take this?
I'm trying to sit with Ava DuVernay. I'm trying to sit with folks that are creating content that is revolutionary, because this is what I'm here for. I think people think that because the work is on the streets, like that's all I'm trying to do. Absolutely not. Like I'm trying to get into your living rooms. I'm trying to get in and create content. I'm trying to sit with Issa Rae. You know what I'm saying? Like those are my dreams. Is to be sitting at the table and making these decisions and creating opportunities for other folks to tell their stories and to tell my own story, because I'm not trying to talk for everybody. I'm trying to talk for myself and then let other people talk for themselves, because I'm not here to tell other people's stories. I'm not the one. De vueltas antes, pero ya no como carne, entonces me jodí.
¿Curtido o no curtido?
Curtido. Yo, if I don't have la salsita con mi curtido, I don't want it.
Eat salsa curtido. I don't eat salsa curtido.
What? You just eat the dry
But are people gonna follow me next?
What's this? Okay, no, look.
Hashtag problematic savvy.
Hashtag you can do what you want.
We never debriefed after.
Yeah, okay, first of all,
Sorry, like I'm
some
not.
people could talk.
Let's get some context.
It was amazing.
Okay, so you want me?
Go for it.
So the sorry, welcome to the conversation with Jessica and Joanna. Apparently we're the only Salvadorans people know of. They keep putting us on the Salvadorian list together.
Seriously.
And so I'm so happy that we're here together and all that. But we got invited to Skype into the Salvadoran embassy after having had a beautiful Salvadoran conversation on NPR with the Horchata zine, and what was the photographer?
Jessica.
Yeah, and it was a bunch of Jessicas, because apparently Saudis don't have other names. But we went to they invited us to talk to the embassy, and we really didn't even know what the fuck we were going to talk about.
No.
We just knew the Salvadoran embassy in DC wanted to talk to us, and we're like, fuck yeah. So she and I are like texting each other while we're on Skype in the embassy, because like people were talking forever and all that. But for me, it was like a really weird thing, because I've never felt seen by Salvadorans from our back home.
Our country and our
So I wanted to know what that felt like for you, because I wasn't born in El Salvador. So for me, it's always been a secondhand experience to experience my culture.
Yeah.
But for you who lived there, what was it like for you to be acknowledged by our own country, like in such a legitimate official way, like because we were talking to the UN ambassador of El Salvador and stuff.
Yeah. It was wild. You know, like when I first came here, we would go to the embassy and the consulate all the time to you know, get our documentos and shit. So I would spend a lot of time in these spaces, and I used to always be so annoyed and angry that I was like I've been to sit here for so long, so my mom can get a passport, so I can get a passport. For what? We can't even leave the country. Oh, okay, so this is our, you know what I'm saying? Like, I used to be so resentful of, like, the Salvadoran government, almost, to a point. So then later, when they're knocking at my door and being like, hey, we want you to come talk, I was like, yep. Because now I understand, like, I'm older, and, like, for some reason, I want my country, where I was born, where I had to leave. I haven't gone back since I left. And that also makes me angry. Because I don't know, I can't, you know what I'm saying? And that's a lot for me to deal with. So in a way, I just want whatever validation I can get from Salvadoran folks, specifically from there, and elder folks from El Salvador too, who sometimes I feel like may not really understand what I'm doing. So it is important to me, because that's where I come from. And
Were you as frustrated as I was though during the conversation? Because it felt very, the divide was very obvious between us and the,
yes.
and so they had older politicians, and then they had Salvadoran youth, and then they had Salvadoran youth from El Salvador, and then they had us who were the more Americanized, and the only woman on the panel. And the only
There's
woman.
no other women?
No, we were
No.
the only two.
Women organized it.
Nadia. But
Was she on-
she came in late.
Oh, and she talked
She
forever.
barely- and
She was on something.
Well, she made up for it.
She had opinions. But but like the divide, like I was just like I felt they weren't listening to us.
Yeah, I did feel that way. And I also kind of felt like they were trying to do this like here are your elders, now listen to us. You know what I'm saying? Like when I would answer, like, or when you would answer, like they would go give us these long-winded answers of like how it was. Like, I don't know. I felt like there was kind of like a here's the youth and here's not. You know what I'm saying?
Because it was supposed to be the youth about speaking about the peace conservation that there is in the U.S. So I mean in the U.S. in El Salvador. So it was about this peace. I'm like, I'm not there, so like I don't know how I feel about that because it's not our experience. But whenever we presented our thoughts, they would tell us how our thoughts were wrong.
Yeah. Basically, and I was just like, that's mine.
And then we were texting each other like, he was talking forever.
I was like, what's happening right now? And then we were there for like 2 hours. Just kind of being.
You wanted to go get your medicine.
Yeah. I was like, listen.
What did they tell you guys were there for?
We were there to talk about the peace in the Salvador. I don't know what we were there for. All I know is like, you want to come? I'm like, it's the government.
First of all, I'm gonna go because they said so.
and then when I saw Joanna, like we were just happy to be together.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, thank God, because imagine I'm sitting here with these people like alone, and I'm already kind of like, it was in Spanish, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't talk about my work in Spanish a lot, barely, and that makes me sad because then I feel stuck and I get anxious, and then I'm just sitting here and I'm afraid that I sound like a pendeja, and like I'm already anxious in English, so like, you know, so
Yeah,
it was like a lot for me. I was just like,
it was a lot. And then when we told the ambassador, we're like, I feel like I'm not from here or from there, and he was just like, you're from here and from there, and you're from there. I'm like, yeah, shut up.
I know you're right, but damn, let me have my feelings, let me have my experiences. There's always seemed to be an answer to how we felt. You know, kind of like, well, and you know.
No, you are Salvadoran. I'm like, yeah. When my articles come out, y'all fucking troll us. sorry. Welcome.
Thank you for being here. Earlier, you made a comment. Hi, everyone. Magali, born and raised in LA. Welcome to the West Coast, the best coast. Now. So earlier you made a comment about your diet and not eating meat.
Oh.
And I want to know what diet. Yeah, what? I don't know if that word either. My mom told me that I'm on a diet, but I'm like, it's not a diet, it's a choice.
Yeah.
And I want to know a little bit more about that process for you and why is there a why behind it, or just you just don't want to eat meat, or I'm just curious.
Dun dun dun.
Well.
Dun dun dun.
Well, you know, I'm from El Salvador, so we don't eat a lot of meat anyway when I was growing up because we didn't really have a lot of access to it. So it was a lot of frijoles, rice and beans, and, you know, I didn't eat a lot of meat growing up anyway. And then as I got older, I really only ate, like, chicken and some seafood. So when I decided to cut meat, because honestly, it freaks me out. Like, outside of ethical, like, reasons, this is very complicated because I just feel like it's so, the food industry and like just talking about food in general is so personal to people that like I never want to sound like, oh, well, I'm a vegetarian because of ethical reasons. Because it's not. Honestly, it just kind of grosses me out. And it is because I can't deal with like, you know, eating another being, but that's just me personally. So it was easy to cut it out. Yeah, I just stopped eating meat one day. It was just kind of like, I don't want to eat meat anymore, and I didn't. It wasn't hard for me because I was never a heavy meat eater. So, like I was in Disneyland yesterday, and I was like, oh God, but that looks good. But then I'm like, oh my God, no. Like, I can't. For me, but yeah. That's a way to make my art come to you, right? If you don't have it in your space, because I live in New York, and unless I'm in a specific area for a reason, I'm not going outside of that space to put it up because I can't. So I make it available for you so you can do that. And I've seen that people go out and put the posters up on their own with a group of friends. And it usually is like a group of girls that go, and that's amazing to me. That's so empowering to me because I know how very limited the art world, even if it's like the street world, street art, has basically no women, and definitely like very little women of color, like, or folks of color in general. Like, so when you go out and you put up my posters, and you choose to put up my work, that's everything to me because you're taking your energy, your time, your resources to print it out, and you're putting up something that you believe in, and it goes beyond me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I try and tell people sometimes. There's me, and then there's like the whole body of work, and I think that it's definitely created a life of its own, and that's when you see it in other spaces that I'm not in, like other states.
I have a question. So something that we talk about and that we've noticed is that a lot of the big like creators, the artists, the big accounts online, whether that's Instagram, Twitter, what have you, who are really like out there like making waves, breaking boundaries, are mujeres,
yes,
are femmes, are women of color, are queer folks. We don't see a lot of straight men in our communities really creating and really doing like, to be honest, like what we're doing.
I know, thank God.
And what is that? I'm wondering, like, is that something that you've noticed, and what is your perspective on that, or what have you observed on that end?
Most absolutely. Thank God, honestly, first of all, because I'm tired of hearing men speak about things that, like, you're the only reason why we're in this position in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it comes down to, like, all of the, just our society in general. Like, you have done this, so ya nos quedamos.
Right.
It's like, leave us alone, we're gonna create content. And it is women and femmes and queer folks of color that are making all these big waves. Everything that's hot, everything that is cool, everything you're going to see at the movie theaters, everything you're watching at home and listening to, folks of color. You know, and the really popping ass ones are women and femmes of color that are doing that. So it's absolutely, because I just feel like at this point, we've always been doing that shit. We've always been doing the dopey shit, but men have just been so loud. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's new. I just think finally it's starting to be like, nah.
Yeah, and I think the other part is, historically, men put each other on.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Something that we've talked about in our spaces here in LA, anyways, in particular in this space, any successes that we've had as creatives, mujeres have put us on.
Absolutely.
The people that have published our work, the editors have been women.
Yes.
The people that have reached out to us about doing video work or hosting events or this and that and this and that
Yes.
have been mujeres completely. We haven't, and listen, like the men are out there with the expertise, but they don't offer their help. They don't offer the resources. Has that been true for you, that mujeres put you on?
Yes. I have not ever had a man hit me up to do something.
Same.
And if I did, I'd say no. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't need it. But my creative partner for a little while was a man, right? But it was like a different situation, and you know he's queer, so like it was different. But even then, I've made a decision within my work not to work with men because I don't need to. I think it's important for me to empower women and femmes, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's 100%. Always been writers. Kat reached out to me. Anybody that's ever done something for me that has put me on has literally been women. Every writer from every platform, every videographer, every editor, everybody.
And Jessica, has that been true for you as well?
I've never been interviewed by a man.
I will.
Perfect example, Binico. So if you're
and look, the Zapatista women have it right, okay? They're like, okay, if you're gonna come here, you're gonna be escorted by one of us, and you're gonna do what we tell you to do and what we find you to be useful for, and that's it. We don't need you to be talking, we don't need you to be taking up space. Like, you know, what we need you to do labor-wise, and that's it.